Hello, my name is Nemisho J. Bage. I'm a South Sudanese refugee staying in Uganda, and this is my story of how I became a refugee. Growing up as a South Sudanese, you know that you are born in war and still there's conflict that is going on. As a young South Sudanese girl, I was young enough to come to Uganda for my studies. With that, it meant that leaving my family behind, my parents, and come here to study in a boarding school alone. Life in boarding school was a little bit hard because it was a new environment, new people and new languages. But I was determined to make sure that I learn and go back and change my country. It was a little bit hard because I couldn't see my parents often because the only holidays that we were allowed to go back to South Sudan, that is Yambio, was during Christmas holidays. With this, it took me so much that I didn't spend so much time with my parents that I got used to only staying in boarding schools. However, I was very happy when I finished my senior six and returned back home. I was so happy because I was going to spend time with my family, with my father and mother and my young siblings. Being so excited to go back home, I got an internship with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. It was a dream come true because that was the first time I felt home. But my happiness was short-lived. Being able to go back home, I saw the situation of young girls getting pregnant as early as 13 years old. But I couldn't do anything about it. But what really happened was like, I lost somebody that meant the world to me. That was my father. It was like the most heartbreaking things because I didn't spend so much time with him because I was in Uganda in boarding school. Going back to spend time with him, it was a dream come true. My dad to me was somebody who was my role model, who believed in me and always pushed me to go ahead. He instilled in me confidence. He told me that I can do anything if I put my mind into it. But my happiness was short-lived when he was killed. That night it was, in South Sudan, gunshots are always the norm of the day. But I didn't know that the gunshots that they were firing was actually. It took us hours to know what really happened until people came home and said, "It is your father who has been ambushed on the road." We were all speechless. We didn't know what to do. We were just home with my mother and my young sister. We didn't know what we were going to do, so we decided to just call upon the elders in the communities and the leaders in the communities to help us. But it was so surprising because the leaders in our community was more bothered whether the car he was in was safe or not. Seeing that the time was taking long, the youth in our community decided that it's better that we go ourselves to go and check what has really happened. I cannot recommend it to anybody, especially a child, to go see the state that my father was in. Because that image has been instilled in my mind that it's very hard for me to forget. It was like the worst day of my life. I didn't know that I'm going to come out of it because it was bad. A few days after his burial, we received a letter warning us that we are next. If we don't leave, they are coming for us. We had to leave everything. We had to leave the burial on the way to run back to Uganda as refugees. That was the most painful thing that has ever happened to me. To lose a dad was really so bad. Because to me, my dad was somebody who was, in my own word, a feminist. Because he believed in us girls so much that he told us that we need to go to school. But not only that, he also allowed his wife, my mother, to go back to school and study. He received a lot of criticism in the communities that why do you want to send your wife back to school? But he knew he said that he knows what he's doing because his wife is going to one day take care of us. Starting a life in a refugee camp was a little bit hard. Not because I've never lived like that before, but because I lost the pillar of our family. We came in the refugee camp with the anger, with resentment, with hatred towards people. It was too much that I couldn't bear. It was hard for me to even sleep because the images were all in my head. But being in a refugee camp helped me to shape my life today. I went and saw young people in the refugee camps that had far worse stories than mine. Young children who don't know where their parents actually are. People have lost both parents or all the family members but are there alone. It was really heartbreaking because I knew the feeling that these people are going through because I've also lost somebody so dear to me. So being in a refugee camp, I got an internship with YWC, that is Young Women Christian Association, and this really helped me because I became a peacemaker coordinator, whereby we brought in South Sudanese from all the different tribes. It wasn't easy because these were the people. The war back home was viewed as a tribal war, but we came back together to make sure that we speak as one voice as youth, that we are tired of war, and it really helped us a lot. Through that, we were able to have drama, outreaches, and sports to make sure that we bring in people from different tribes in the camp so that they can be able to participate and also feel with the joy of hope that one day, one time, South Sudan is going to be a better place. We are going to live a better life as youth of South Sudan. Being in a camp, I was worried about my studies because I wanted to go back to school. I was also privileged to travel to Norway, where I got my host family who decided to pay me to school. That was the happiest day of my life. So I decided that I'm going to go back to school and take course of human rights, peace and humanitarian intervention because I know my young country needs that. Not only that, I was able to be one of the first South Sudanese ladies to go to the US under United States Institute of Peace so that we can be able to tell our stories. And there I was able to write a project that helps support young girls, that is under the Let Girls Talk initiative. We were able to come back home and train them on basic human rights and also sexual and reproductive health rights, because back home the amount of young girls getting pregnant and have no knowledge about sex education was alarming, and we did that and it was successful. I did not only include girls, but I also made sure that boys are there, because we made that mistake. When we're advocating for young girls, we tend to leave boys out. In order for us to change, we need to also bring in boys who can be able to be the change that we need. So if someone asks me today, Joy, how did you overcome your trauma? I'll tell you this. I had a support group. In the camp, we were people who had gone through traumatic experiences, and we were able to share our experiences, and through that I was getting healed. I also went for trauma healing and counseling, which is very important. However, back home, it's not that available, or people don't believe in it mostly. I also participated in extracurricular activities such as football, dance and drama that we organize for the people in the community. So it helped me to make sure that I become a better person, somebody with hope that even if something has happened to me like that, I have the ability to change how I want my country to look, how I want young people in my country to view us, and also live peaceful in our community. So, and it's really a privilege for me to be here and speaking to War Child, because I know what War Child is what it stands for, how they're helping children in war-torn countries. And being part of it has really increased my knowledge on what I can do as a young South Sudanese woman. And I'll be so grateful to work with War Child to also strengthen their vision and mission. However, also to meet young people around the world that War Child works with and be able to share ideas on how we can be able to be ambassadors of peace, ambassadors for children in our community. To talk about issues that are affecting us and also how to bring in solution to those problems.